Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, your resident Gen Xer. And right over there is John, our resident millennial. John, how are you doing this evening?
Fan fucking tastic. How are you?
Whew, watch the language this early in the show, John.
No, we got to get it
Ears,
out of the way early.
my ears. All right, drop a quarter in the swear jar, and we'll move on. How was your weekend, sir?
I was good. I hung out with you and your buddy there,
Oh,
and
my
yeah,
buddy,
and then hung out
my
with Stephen
my buddy.
Ignoramous as
You
well.
say my buddy because you can't remember his name,
No, Josh, I remember.
Josh. My
Yeah.
BFF forever.
Yes.
Well, 25 years. Half my life. I've known him half my life.
Hey, yeah, that's a life sentence right there.
I've only got one person closer to me that I've known longer. He may be in the chat tonight. I don't know. But that's my
Oh,
brother.
snap.
My brother who is also John. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yep.
No. Well, he's John with an H. You're John without the H, so he's better.
Yeah.
He's probably better than you.
I don't think so. I think it took more letters for him to be who
No,
he
he
is.
has
I
an
don't need as
H.
many.
He has an H.
Yeah.
You wish you had the H.
Yeah, it's too common.
John Kennedy had an
Freaking
H.
common basic bitch.
John Kennedy had an H. Top that.
Did. He was also a Kennedy, so I doubt your brother is.
Hey, I don't know if you notice, but it's been an interesting fucking weekend.
Has it now?
Some crazy stuff has gone on this weekend.
What, did someone die or something?
You didn't hear? You didn't hear?
No. Who?
You've been under a rock? You've been living under a rock, John?
Yeah, I don't know if you knew this is actually a rock that I'm just
So-
like hiding under.
So where were you, John, when it happened?
In bed.
When the Clinton hammer, when Epstein, yeah, that's the guy.
When he accidentally himself.
When he was busy committing suicide to death.
Yeah, no, I was in bed still. I woke up to the news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made for.
I actually saw it in Discord first. I logged onto our Gen Gap Discord. Quick shout out to it.
Sweet.
And everyone was talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, it happened. Okay, cool."
Right.
I was wondering when it was going to happen.
So yeah. So we should talk about that. But first, before we do that,
Oh.
I'm going to jump in. I think you need to tell us about something, don't you? Don't you need
Couple
to
of
tell us
things.
about something this month? Something I'm excited about.
Something from this month?
Yeah. This is August, right?
Yeah.
Is something happening this month?
Oh yeah, isn't your birthday in like 10 days or some shit?
No, that's in September.
Oh well, then I don't.
I'm talking
know
about with
if
the
it's
show. Don't we have
on-
anything?
Yeah, I
Oh, gotcha. You're an
God.
asshole. Gotcha.
yeah.
Carry
No, August 30th, we are having Blonde from the Beauty and the Beta and Blonde in the Belly of the Beast channel. So that's gonna be awesome. She's gonna be hanging out with us. Not shooting the shit, but I guess technically it'll be like a shooting the shit episode on a Friday. So that'll be cool.
Oh no, I'm gonna grill her. I've got
Yeah.
questions to ask this woman.
Well, we got to ask her about her trip to Europe as well, because she's going to Europe, and she'll be back.
Well, she won't
Like
have
right
any
before-
information.
Well, she's going there, and then she's coming
Oh,
back.
she's gonna be back before our show.
Yeah, that's why she
Oh,
has to
okay.
wait so long before she can come on.
Gotcha.
So we'll ask her what her experiences were there. Hopefully, we'll get a scoop Beauty the Beta on it too. That'll be
Probably
sweet.
not. Probably not. They'll do something. You know how they are. They'll be doing something from there while she's there.
No. They're having someone. Lauren Chen actually is going to be guest hosting.
No shit, Lauren
with
Chen.
Matt.
Hey,
Yeah.
she's been on this show. We had
That's
Lauren
right.
Chen on this show.
Yeah,
That was
no,
awesome.
we boosted her to fame, so now she gets to
Right.
go on other shows, and be able to help them out. Hopefully, we
Exactly.
can help Matt out a little bit with that.
Exactly. Her
you know.
popularity jumps,
Yeah.
spikes, as it were. What else do we got? Hey, we got anything else going on? Something in December?
Well, first, before that, we have something
No.
on Halloween.
Oh yeah, you're still
We're
trying
gonna
to
do a
build
Halloween spooktacular. It's gonna happen.
I'm still
I'm
I'm,
gonna make
st-
it
I'm
happen.
still on the fence about this because I get scared.
Yeah. Well, you better get
I've
off the
got a lot of
fence.
superstitions and
Good.
ghosts.
That'll help.
Ghosts
It'll
are
make for
really
good-
scary.
It'll make good for good viewing then. So
No.
that'll be awesome.
No, it never
Oh,
makes.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Love to see
In fact, my goal then is to make you shit your pants that night.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
I don't know. You're getting older. Could happen.
Right? I mean, do you really need to scare me? Is that what you're saying?
It'll help.
Thanks. That makes me feel better, John. That really makes me feel better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then December 6th, it's a Friday. We're doing another 12-hour
12
live stream
hours.
for charity. Yes, we're going to hopefully give some presents to some needy kids through Toys for Tots. So that'll be fucking sweet.
Yeah,
That'll be really nice.
We need to work in a couple of debates during that day. See if at
Yes.
least one good one. At least one good one. Two, if we could get away with it.
So we got to find someone who disagrees with us. That'll be difficult
That
because
should
we're
be
so right.
easily difficult, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm expecting, if nothing else, there's going to be plenty to give us fodder. I mean, hell, we've got Democratic debates going on. We've got that whole campaign going on. And I mean, hell, there's no want for news lately.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, by the way,
hopefully we can do some better stuff though. Hopefully we can have some games and stuff like that set up.
No, nothing
better. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Well, you have to do some homework, John. A little homework will go a long way.
We could actually do Cards Against Humanity like we were supposed to last time. John, it'd be fun. John, anyway, continue with your
that's
little.
That's a little too adult. I don't want I like our PG-13 rating. That's what makes this fucking show great.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the PG-13, you only get one fuck, and we've already said it several times.
Is it only one fuck? Do they have
You get one fuck in PG-13, yeah. Damn. Otherwise, it has an R rating automatically.
Does it have to be heterosexual, or can it be
I think
can it be any kind
goes.
of fuck?
Yeah, anything goes.
Anything goes.
But you get one.
As long as it's a Disney movie.
Right.
Right. Hey, folks, if you haven't done it already, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you keep an eye down in our description for all the places you can find us. John will give you a rundown of those later on because it'll take him that long to remember what they are. So, John, the weekend, held a special surprise for all of us Saturday morning.
Did, yeah.
This thing has been kind of crazy. Did you go on Twitter at all after this happened? Did you start cruising through there at all a little?
I mean, yeah, I went through there and noticed a certain hashtag was trending. And
two
then
of them.
One.
There were two of them, right?
And then another one, yeah. And then for some reason, it was really weird. Those two disappeared, and it just went to another one.
Wait, hold on.
Weirder.
So I know that I know somebody tried to get Trump body count trending.
Oh no, that one was trending.
I mean, well, I guess it was.
What happened was Twitter removed the hashtag Clinton body count and the other one hashtag Clinton side, and replaced it with hashtag Trump body count.
What? Whoa. You're saying Twitter did the replacing? Because
I don't know if they made Trump body count trend, but they took the Clinton ones down.
But they didn't take the Trump ones down?
No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
See, and that's and that's what I find most interesting because I mean, when it's all said and done, I mentioned this to you, I think on Saturday briefly, but there's I'm not even going to give credence to anything that's said about Trump in this, because I mean, there's very clear indications that Trump has no love for Epstein whatsoever.
Right.
I mean, apparently,
and even more beyond what Trump has said.
Right.
You can't believe a lot of what he says, but even beyond that, there's evidence.
If accounts are true. There's at least, I believe, 2 of Trump's properties that he barred Epstein from for interactions with employees. When Epstein was arrested 10 or 11 years ago and faced the original charges, the tip of this iceberg, Trump apparently went right in and gave an account of everything he knew, everything his involvement, just his little bit of involvement with Epstein, and was very forthcoming. And even the police said he was very forthcoming about everything that he knew Epstein, and that was that. So it was surprising to me to see anybody even attempt to try and get that going because you know this one I know they would be hard pressed to come up with evidence for.
Yeah.
So it was surprising. Now, what wasn't surprising was seeing Clinton body count.
Right.
Um, and but then as I've sat and thought about it, so and I'll tell you what I think, or where my mind has gone. I mean, do you subscribe to any of these conspiracy thoughts, or are you still completely in
The
the
one
dark
where
in
the
your
one
mind?
no the ones where Clinton, Hillary especially, kills people around her. 100%, I buy into that. Yeah. There's just too many coincidences, too many
Well, and
happy
that,
accidents for her.
yeah, that I understand, but mainly about Epstein. I mean, do you
Oh yeah, yeah, again, way too many coincidences.
now
You
would
know what I
we
mean?
would
Like
we
he
need to
was
tie?
taken off of. Yeah, I mean he was taken off of the suicide
Sure.
watch. He was his cellmate was moved out the day before. All the like the guards were had been working like double shifts for the past few days, and so like they were extremely tired supposedly, and which I'm sure they would be if that's true. I'm not sure how true that is, but obviously they would be if they were. And then all the cameras in that area malfunctioned at exactly the same time, which was the time that he was killing himself,
Yeah.
supposedly.
I
So I
saw.
mean, it's way too much.
Well, I did see report out some statements from Barr, who really seems to. He's got a boner for this one. No pun intended. He's got a boner for this case. He wants. He sounds like he's not going to stop till he finds everybody that was implicated with Epstein in this, and
I sure hope
dig
so.
him out. Not to mention finding out what really getting to the bottom of what happened. And he said, and yeah, he was very clear. A lot of irregularities showing up at the prison in the very early
Yeah.
stages of the investigation.
Oh yeah.
Now, I get it, but there's so much. It's amazing the flurry of information that is being thrown around. So of course, it's like, okay, we've got to grab our sieve and try and filter all this information, see if
Hmm.
what's real and what isn't. I had seen something that was talking about that the call to take him out of the suicide watch was actually being requested
His
by his
lawyer,
lawyer, right? And
right?
I'm like, would his lawyer request that, or is
And
this
why?
manufactured? Is his lawyer going to back this up? And then if his lawyer did, well, whose side was his lawyer on? Who was paying the lawyer? What would Is this a conspiracy, or did he just really want to get out of suicide watch and off himself?
Yeah.
I mean, did he? Would he? Is it one of the? Is it possible? It's a situation where he wanted to die by his own hand before
Right.
somebody
And
else.
does a lawyer have that kind of power? I don't know. I don't know what kind of power a lawyer
Well,
would have.
well, if they, they can do, motions and this, that, and the,
They can
emotion,
request, yeah.
yeah, and that kind of
That's
thing.
not part of the trial, yeah.
But
But
a judge could order that the prison take him off of suicide watch. But why would you do that? I mean, unless it was detriment to your health, which kind of is
yeah,
kind of, I don't know. Uh, the crime does have a high suicide rate during incarceration in and of itself. And yes, we could
yeah,
call
it
it a high
does.
suicide rate if you want. But I will honestly
There's also a high
say
suicide rate in knowing Hillary Clinton.
suicide by shiv is
It's more common. Yeah.
that does tend to happen with these kind of prisoners that wind up
Hmm.
in there, right? Because it's a very frowned upon
Yeah.
thing.
Not usually strangled by bed sheets.
Or
Usually
is that an
shoved.
urban myth? I mean, there's a question for you. Is it an urban myth or is it not? I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
I know that there a lot of times they have to be put in protective custody, which is basically solitary confinement.
well,
So.
I had caught a headline and just the briefest of summary, but there was another article, and I want to look more into it. But apparently, there was some issue surrounding who he did have as a cellmate, because apparently the cellmate he did have was was an ex cop or something.
Hmm.
Why he was in prison, I don't know. But I mean,
I forget
Really?
why,
Why
because I
would
read
you?
about that. Yeah.
Is that, and again, is that not like specifically putting him in harm's way? Like
Well, probably
a
because the
known
only thing that
pedophile with an ex-cop?
right. So I think the only thing that's more dangerous to be in a prison, other than a pedophile, would be an ex-cop.
Well, sure, it's
I
dangerous to
mean,
be an ex-cop, but it's dangerous to
no,
be a
in
ped.
prison.
Right? Yes, it's
Yeah,
dangerous to be
yeah,
an ex-cop in prison, but it's also dangerous to be a pedophile around an ex-cop. You know,
maybe. I don't
in
know.
prison or anywhere. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
even the scummiest of cops who are on the take, who are doing bad things, this, that, and the other, and all these guys, murderers and rapists and things like this in prison, there's a very dark place in hell in their minds for pedophiles.
Yeah.
I find it a little bit weird, but it's a true thing, or is it? Is it just an urban myth? And
Right.
but
I
I
also saw.
with the
I
Clinton.
also saw that. Hang on, because right before we got on this call,
Oh yeah.
I saw an article that was saying that the FBI raided
Oh
his
yes,
island.
yes, sir.
So hopefully that'll turn some more stuff up.
Yes,
But who knows?
they're wanting to get their hands on everything now that
Hmm.
they don't have to worry about warrants, I guess, to get
Right.
access to the estate. But yeah. Um, so then I guess the final thing to ask you, well, there's more people involved that can name names. There's one of the victims. I guess she's like 36 years old. I forget her name, but she's already pointing fingers around the
Hmm.
table. And even one of the names, and again, this is a girl who claims that she was one of his sex slaves, one of the victims. They say sex slave, but they were all getting paid. So I don't know, is that slavery or is that forced prostitution? I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but she's pointed at some politicians, but as she's also even said Prince Edward
Yeah.
was one of the people that she was having that she had sex with when she was doing this at the island or wherever it was she was doing it.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was doing this in New York and Florida as well,
Hmm.
at different times with young girls. So the question becomes, are the Clintons the only ones you would imagine would be wanting to off this guy?
Probably not.
I mean,
But I mean, if you know someone has a history of offing people, they're the first suspect.
well, of course they're the first
I mean,
suspect, but that
if
would
you
also
know,
be the reason to not be the one to do it, knowing that somebody else is going to.
right,
Like he's
right.
going
I
to be
mean,
taken out.
if evidence of someone else having done it, comes to light, then so be it. But
But
until then, suspect number one. You know,
wouldn't it be very like interesting to find out that yes, she had been involved with Prince Edward as well. Prince Edward had been involved with Epstein, and then come to find out it was like MI6. Is it MI6? Is that what they're called? The
um,
secret British Secret
I
Service,
think so. Yeah,
or used to be MI6. I
I
forget
think
what
that's
they're
just
called
James
now.
Bond.
Just
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be funny if they had perpetrated this overseas assassination
Oh
attempt on
man, that
him?
would cause all kinds of shit.
Right? Wouldn't that be some crazy shit to see? But it'll be,
Yeah.
I don't know. I can honestly say I don't believe that there's going to be anything to believe or anything concrete for at least another week. So, I think most of everything that we see, we're just going to have to take with a grain of salt right now until they
Hmm.
start documenting evidence and documenting names and actually uncovering. I don't know, man. There, this. I don't know if taking him out is going to be. There may be more body count attached to this. I'll be interested to see how many of these
Yeah.
victims live,
Right.
live
We'll,
to
we'll see
see.
how. Yeah, we'll see how many alleged victims start, suiciding themselves
Right, it'll be interesting. Hey,
right before the trial.
and just real quick, this the Hong Kong thing has been going on, but did you see? I think it was Tinchi posted something in the Discord server that showed Shenzhen. I believe it was where it was this huge convoy of military trucks that we can assume is headed towards Hong Kong to deal with these protests. There was a tweet that came out of there with a little chunk of the video in there. It's worried that shit's about to hit the fan there.
Yeah, seems like it. I didn't actually see the video. I just heard Tenchi's reaction from the living room about it. Yeah, no, I haven't actually watched it yet, but
It was
that
well.
is pretty worrying, though.
Well, it's a very
For sure.
it's not even anything but much but a GIF. But I mean, you can see this long convoy of military trucks just extending far down the street, out of sight.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh shit, Tiananmen Square. Um, that's a I don't know. That's going to be a blow to China's
Tiananmen Boogaloo, let's do it.
world
Yeah.
face, right? It's a little nerve wracking. It's almost as nerve wracking as all the nuclear stuff going. You saw that in Russia? Yes, the nuclear something that blew up, a missile blew up. But this is that's a scary sounding fucking missile they were testing.
Yeah, they killed 5 of their own people. I mean, holy shit.
Well, they were trying to make were they trying to make a little Chernobyl?
I don't think so. I don't think that was the intention.
I mean, maybe a little Chernobyl that is less costly to visit than the original Chernobyl.
Like a tourist.
It's
attraction.
just like a smaller version of Chernobyl,
Right.
a little cheaper. The rooms aren't as nice at the hotels, but
you get half off your ticket when you bring your own suit. So.
But there's still 3 yolks in every duck egg.
There you go. Yeah, guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
At least 3.
But anyway, so no, I thought that was kind of interesting. But that missile that they were talking about is pretty fucking scary. There's Mitch B in the chat.
Hey, stop talking shit about him. He's here.
Yeah, well,
calm it down.
But I think they said that thing can go like 6,000. I don't know. It's like 9 times. I don't know. Super fast. Breaks the sound barrier. Makes the sound barrier look like nothing.
They've been taking too many. They've been taking too many hints from North Korea and just fucking it up instead.
Right. But potential to fly at Mach 9.
That's not so much.
Is it really?
No, I mean the Star Trek Enterprise can go like warp 10. I mean,
no, that's really
Mark
pushing.
9 ain't shit.
No,
Mark
because at warp 10, that really disturbs Scottish people. Warp 10, it's very disturbing to Scottish people. I'm just saying.
That's true. Yeah. He was giving it all she's got. I mean,
well, and that's the thing, she's going to shake herself apart, Captain. She's going to shake herself apart.
That's right.
Hey, John, let's get to the heart of the matter. You were just recently, what was it? This is something akin to Putin's Iron Dome killer. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not familiar.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's something from back in the Cold War.
Probably,
if I remember correctly. But
old age and everything.
No, because he wasn't around then. That was Gorbachev. But Putin, Iron Dome killer. Now, see, I don't want to think about it. He's trying to make us go off on a tangent, John.
He is.
Tell him to stop.
A derailing piece of shit. God damn it.
John, you, if I remember correctly, you were cheating on me the other day, and
I was
you were on
twice.
You were on
in a row.
I was. You don't have to rub the twice in my face. You were on somebody else's stream. Am I correct? Whose stream was that?
I was on Stephen Ignoramous' stream Friday and yesterday.
Stephen Ignoramous. Now, we like that guy, right?
Yeah, he's all right for a white boy.
That's racist, John.
No, it's about white people. It's not racist.
Okay, I got you. So anyway, now I know that yesterday you did a stream with him, and it was about history, right?
Yeah.
As in, you two are going to be history, or you were talking about
actual
history. You're making history. You were
Yeah.
both coming out.
Right.
So, how did that stream go? Was it fun? Was it exciting?
Oh hell yeah, that was fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You know, I for some reason, I feel mildly offended anytime if someone attaches fun to the word history. So,
Well,
I'm
it's
just, that's just
history is
me.
fun.
That's just me. But now
History is so much fun.
the other stream you did with him is the one that I'm most interested in,
Yes.
and that was a stream that you two did on talking about ethos, logos, and pathos.
Yeah.
And so, what was it? What was the crux of the conversation? What was the point to the conversation? What you were trying to ascertain or determine?
Well, we were kind of giving our different interpretations on what those three are and what they mean, and how they're used. So he came at it from a more Christian perspective, and I came at it from more of like a writer's or like a persuasion kind of perspective.
Okay.
So that was really interesting.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you tend to
Look at Midget B fucking casting shade over there, man, trying to make me catch these hands.
yeah, these
Not gonna happen.
kids these days,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So anyway, when you are thinking about ethos, logos, and pathos, you think more all the way back to the beginning, like back to the Greek origins of the words, right? And
Yeah.
the intent of what they do and what they accomplish, right?
Right. Rhetoric. Right.
Okay. So just real quick from that standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
um, well, let me see if I can drag it into the future in a nutshell that's easy to understand. So when we're looking at making an argument, so we can apply this to, like you said, we can apply it to writing, we can apply it to debate, we can apply it to conversation, persuasive
Yeah.
speeches, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ethos of the ethos portion is basically where you establish your credibility as the speaker. You establish why you are relevant, why the topic is
Mm-hmm.
relevant to you, and why you would be quote unquote expert in talking about it or have
Right.
some beneficial information for it. The logos
Mm-hmm.
is the logical path of assertion of whatever
Right.
argument you're trying to make, right? The logical path
Yeah.
from how it progresses into the solution or to the end result of the argument, the debate, the topic at hand, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
The logos is pretty much your meat and potatoes of
Right.
the argument.
The nuts and bolts, the who, what's, where, why, and when, right?
Yeah.
And but it's got to make sense. It's got to be logical. It can't be far fetched, crazy shenanigan
I mean,
ideas, right? I
it
mean,
can be. I mean,
I mean, even the best conspiracy theory can be presented with logic, right? So
Midget B says logos is waifu. Yeah.
I don't speak Italian. Um, so, so, and then the pathos. Now, pathos is basically, if I'm not mistaken, that is going to be, what you are trying to, uh, not necessarily potentially change, but it's the feelings involved,
The emotion
the emotion
behind
of
it. Yeah.
the argument, the emotion of the end result, what you feel about the topic itself, and whether
Hmm.
and through ethos and logos, you attempt to persuade the pathos to change within the other person if they're on the counter side of the argument.
Right. Um, so how I've always put it, how I learned it was, you establish the ethos, right, and then you have that go into your logos. Right. You establish your credibility, have that go into the logos, which then creates the pathos in the other person. So I mean, that's just a really, I guess, concise way of, uh, stating it. Basically, the goal is the pathos in the other person.
Now, I remember one of the things that you two talked about was was that the logos portion, like logic, was akin to reasoning,
Hmm.
correct? And or how much different logical presentation is to actually reasoning with someone. And I thought that was interesting, and I did comment then, and we've talked about it off mic.
Hmm.
But I see a difference in reasoning and logic. And as I told you, I think reasoning is the difference in like trying to talk someone, out of going to, shoot up a Walmart, and logic is explaining to them why they should change their mind about going to shoot up the Walmart. Right?
Right.
One is
Yeah.
talking them down off the ledge. The other is telling them why they need to find a different type of ledge to stand on,
Right.
a ledge closer to the ground. um,
Right.
so, one thing that I did ultimately take away from this altogether is I don't believe that this is how discussions are approached in the present day, in the present culture that we have, particularly among those on either the far left or the far right. And I've got an assertion that I want to make to you and see what your take on it is. But I believe that, especially when we're talking about the more extreme right and left, particularly the left, I believe that now more than ever, they are using their pathos, the existing pathos that they have, as the establishment of their ethos. Like, my feelings are important, and this is how I feel,
Right.
and this is how I see this, and this. And that, because I feel this way, that's where my credibility comes from. Because I'm a feeling person who has issues, who has a problem with this particular thing.
Right.
And as opposed to, you know, their knowledge, their, what they've researched, they've
Their
studied, what they
credentials.
understand,
Yeah.
any credentials that establish them as having a valid voice. Well, now
Right.
just their feelings about it
hmm
give them the validity. Do you see that as a common occurrence in many discussions that are being had, particularly to those extremes?
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah. Um, I mean, especially with the far left, but yeah, you can definitely make that argument for both. Um, it definitely does seem that yeah, the feelings part of it is the most important part. That's why they have this like oppression hierarchy, things like that. So the person is more oppressed, therefore is has more credentials already, and then they just say, "I feel this way, I feel that way," and people feel bad for them and want to change the world around them to better fit their needs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, in think when I evaluated that in my head and I came to that conclusion, I came to another conclusion as well, that there's still yet another group of people who, or that in our present culture, when these discussions begin to be had, and someone is establishing their ethos, they're establishing the credibility of whatever they're talking about.
hmm
Um, that immediately the response from the other side is often seeming is an immediate attack on the ethos,
hmm
to completely diminish it, and thus diminish any logical presentation they may have in the discussion, but simply
Yeah.
by trying to undermine who they are, or what their source is, or how they came by the information, et cetera, to where the entire discussion gets wrapped up in the, you know, how do we know what you're saying is real? How do we know you're credible? And trying to defend that part of it so that the actual discussion never happens.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it a diversionary thing? I don't know.
I don't think it's necessarily. Maybe in some cases it's diversionary, but mostly it's just that it's easier. It's easier to attack a person than it is to attack the idea. It's just much easier to defeat. You don't have to think to do it. You can just say, "Yeah, well, you're a this," and therefore everything you say, is irrelevant. So then it doesn't matter how good someone's argument is. You don't have to hear it
So,
or defeat it.
and it's interesting that when I think about those two things, and especially when I imagine someone from each of those groups coming together, well, if you have someone establishing ethos as their ethos through their pathos, through their feelings,
hmm
and then on the other side someone's attacking the ethos, well, you're specifically attacking that person's belief system, their values, who they
Right.
are, and thus you're attacking their their intersectionality, their identity, who they are. Now you're a racist. Now, suddenly the entire conversation immediately is a contentious and horrible situation, and nothing ever gets discussed. And we see this in these,
Right.
these different protests in these different areas where groups are butting heads. Where
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I mean, a protest is a terrible place to try and have a discussion
is it?
of any kind.
One
Oh,
would think
a
that
hundred percent.
would be a great place to have a discussion because
You would think so,
remember
but
when it was a
no. I mean,
peaceful protest?
no, not in my day and age. But no, I mean, it's not the place because tensions are already really high. Just going there, you're already mad at something. You're not in a logical state, and then you have the mob mentality of everyone around you to contend with. That there's no need for logical thinking. It's complete emotion, and that's it.
Now, see, it's interesting that you say that because that is never what a protest was intended to be, right? Even even in our Constitution, we have we have, if I'm not mistaken, we have a right to
Peaceably assemble.
peaceably assemble, right? And that used to, in a lot of places that would actually happen, right? There were a lot of
Oh yes.
peaceful protests back in the day, but it's listening to you talk there, and you being a younger generation, it seems like you've not known any of that. Like, does is does the idea of a
Yeah.
peaceful protest not even register with you? I mean, you always expect them to be contentious.
Um, I think the last few years have. I think Occupy Wall Street was mostly peaceful. I know there were some
True.
incidents, but and I mean, rape cases aside, it was largely peaceful. There wasn't a ton of violence. I mean, there were some cases where people were getting arrested, for violence and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was pretty peaceful. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, recently, no. If there's going to be a protest, there's going to be counter protests, and there's going to be violence there.
Well, is there, is it possible to incorporate ethos, logos, and pathos into protests? Like, if we are talking about a peaceful protest, shouldn't that be a part of it? I mean, you know, in the approach of a protest to be successful, as it were.
I'm not sure that's what it's about nowadays. It doesn't seem like at least these protests with the alt right guys, the Proud Boys, who uh I'm not saying they're the same thing. I'm not saying they're similar at all because the Proud Boys are totally different. But they're usually at protests together on the same side. But they don't the Proud Boys are not far right. Is my point. Um, but they are often involved in fights, even though they don't start them. That's part of their thing is that they don't start fights. And then you have Antifa on the other side, and we all know what they're like. So I think people go obviously to the protests as a spectacle. They go there looking for a fight. They go there, to get their 15 minutes of fame, through some viral YouTube video, whatever it is. Obviously the reporters and especially the independent journalists go there to get their, 15 minutes of fame, especially, or to make a name for themselves. Um, so I really think that's what it is. It's just spectacle. It's theater at this point. It's not really a protest. They're not there to try and change things for the most part, right? I'm sure some people do have that delusion still, but no.
Yeah, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I mean, it's and maybe that's the difference. Is that I look back. And it was a little bit before my time, but like at the marches with Martin Luther King Jr.
Hmm.
These kind of things where they were actually trying to bring about change.
Hmm.
Um, and so you don't feel like that's happening anymore, right? We're not seeing any real effort to make change through these protests. It's more about just protesting,
Hmm.
calling or crying out against something. I don't know, is there hope that something's going to change? I mean, is there a goal? Does anybody say that that's their goal, to actually get something
Oh
changed,
yeah.
or they
Oh
just
yeah.
want to
No.
stop this?
No. I mean, they say that that's their goal, right? But I mean, is it really though? You know what I mean? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it to me.
Well, what about, so let's flip it to the political sphere. um, in my mind, that when I look at debates, presidential debates, and then I look at Senate and Congress sessions where appeals are being made for laws or to dissuade from passing laws, et cetera, et cetera. This is where it needs to be used, right? This is
Hmm.
a prime place for this very decisive way of handling discussions and debates.
Hmm.
Um, do you think that? I mean, have we gotten away from that as well? I mean,
In
debates are contentious anymore.
in the presidential debates, I think you see a lot of it. You always see like, oh, I'm this, I've done this, I've done that, I've helped pass this, I've helped draft this legislation, and then like, here's my plan of what I'm going to be doing, and then my feelings, in order to try and get an emotional response from the audience. I mean, that's pretty much how these go. Or then, they attack the other person's credibility. They
Right.
attack the not usually the other person's arguments, but like,
Well,
I
and
guess, like, say, accusations. A lot of, you did this, which had this result, whatever it might be. So I do think that you see a lot of the rhetoric.
well, there's you do see the rhetoric. I think it always falls down in all of these things. Just recently, they seem to fall down in the response. Like,
Hmm.
even the most logical speaking individual, in these presidential debates, for instance, and there's some people that actually sound like they're speaking with some logic, right? They'll present something, but the person that responds to that immediately attacks their credibility.
Hmm.
Isn't coming back with a logical assertion against, but the first thing they do is they go after credibility. Well, yeah, you did this while you were in office, but did it really work out well for you? What about what this
Yeah.
is, this and that?
Well, I mean, yeah.
This
So I mean, that's another
mudslinging, right?
tactic. Yeah, there's mudslinging, but I mean, you'll also see a lot of, well, your plan doesn't include this, mine does. You know what I mean? That's kind of an attack on the credibility plus your own, logos
Okay, so
to
knowing
follow it.
that, from your historical standpoint, so when we go back to the origins of ethos, logos, pathos,
Hmm.
is was that inherent to this form of debate, to this form of discussion that was being used by the ancient Greeks? Was it inherent
Hmm.
that there would still be that same thing, that discrediting, that mudslinging, etc.?
Oh yeah, no, 100% there would be. Yeah. I mean, what debate is, or persuasion, it's a chess game. It's move and counter move. So the one person establishes their ethos, and then the other person tries to tear it down while establishing their own, and they kind of go back and forth, and obviously presenting their logos as well.
So is that is there? So what is that accounted as? So if we're looking at this is as a structure, as a formula, as it were, for how to approach these things. Well, what is, for instance, the mudslinging? Is that still part of ethos? Is that still building
Hmm.
your own ethos while destroying someone else's? Like, is that
Yeah.
I make my credibility better by destroying someone else's?
Well, it's more that I'm destroying someone else's and also making mine better by adding, I've done this and I've done that. This person failed to do that or failed to do this, whatever it is. So you can tear theirs down while building yours up at the same time.
So then my question becomes, how do you prevent, if you are using a tactic like that, in a debate, in a conversation, if you're using a tactic like that, how do you prevent that tactic from making you look worse than what you're trying to make your opponent appear to be, if you get what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I mean, is it just about not taking it to a personal level, only attack them from a quote unquote professional level? Um,
Yeah. I mean, you can try and take the high road. I don't know that that would work very much nowadays. It's not really something that people want to hear. That's not entertaining. That's kind of what people want. Especially in the context of like the presidential debates. We already pretty much know what everyone thinks, right? It's the
right.
spectacle of it. It's the theater. Um, but how to kind of avoid your ethos being taken down, I don't know. Uh, it's kind of dirty in that way, where you kind of have to
Right.
either try and find a way to spin it to where it's actually a good thing, what they're saying. So instead of like trying to deny what they're saying, try and spin it to make it a good thing. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
because I mean, there's a very fine line between mudslinging and a low blow, right? Because a low blow could really destroy your own credibility
right, yeah,
from a character standpoint, right? Because I think character factors a lot into ethos, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
you know, I, th- I think we can see some good examples of that in the current presidential candidates.
Hmm.
It was definitely apparent in 2016, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you? I don't know how many people really would have perceived President Trump as an ethical individual from in the course of from the standpoint of an argument, a discussion, debate, etc. Right? I mean,
Sure.
he played kind of dirty. He really went for
Yeah.
the low blows.
Right. Well, I mean, I think what his strategy there was to destroy everyone else's ethos so much that it didn't matter how low his was, that it was still better. I mean, that was the plan at least. And I mean, obviously we can see the results, but
Right, and
you know.
I think that's highly interesting in how his approach to debate um, had such a strong impact on the American pathos. Like,
Mhm.
you know, I mean,
I mean, still to this day, I mean.
people who would not have ever pictured themselves voting for him found
Yeah.
themselves with some weird change of heart because I
Yeah.
don't know if it was simply because Jesus at the balls on this guy, or he really made her look that bad through those just really hard low
Yeah.
blows. I couldn't determine which way it went. Did if he swung people to himself because they found him worthwhile, or if he swung them because he just made her look so bad.
I think yeah, between making her look bad and herself making her look bad, she destroyed her own ethos pretty much. I mean, not that she had much, in my opinion, to begin with, but there are a lot of people who did like her. And there are a lot of people who hated her and still voted for her. You know what I mean? So if she were to come in again, it would be disastrous for her. So I'm actually glad that she hasn't. I'm sure she will at some point. Maybe I don't know, but
Um,
yeah, no. I mean, she was so devastated by it. She probably just didn't expect those kinds of attacks, that kind of strategy, because it's not really been done in recent memory. Just so effectively eviscerating someone's credibility like that. It was pretty impressive.
well, so then that begs the next question. Um, when I'm looking at a stage full of 20 plus Democratic candidates, um, do they continue with the same approach where they're giving logical arguments as to why their platforms, their policies are the
Hmm.
best, or do they take a page from Trump's playbook and skip
Hmm.
all logic and because his approach was ethos, destroy ethos, change pathos. I mean, there really wasn't a lot of
Well,
logic built into
there
what
there
he was
was
talking
there.
about.
I mean,
He,
there was a lot of
but outland.
addressing points that people were concerned about that weren't really addressed by anyone else. At least not the extent that he was, especially with the immigration. That was his big thing. He
Okay.
hammered it home every single chance he got, and so
Okay.
that was kind of his thing. He was, very consistent on that.
Oh, hold on. I have to.
Um,
I have to. I have to get you to pause and answer a question about that, though.
mhm.
Much of one of the big things about Trump during the campaign was that he made outlandish claims. He was constantly being fact checked, and his
Right.
many claims were exaggerated. He's a
Mhm.
great exaggerator, right?
Right.
Um, it,
Which
you
was
know,
very intelligent on his part. It ensured that even though he was, he started out, didn't he, on the second, the loser side, the bottom 10 of the 20,
oh yeah,
the Republicans, I believe so.
he came in low, but yeah, he started
Yeah,
moving
but
very
uh, but
quickly.
that ensured by doing that, it ensured the media kept talking about him. He was always in front of people's faces, and that got
Sure.
him to the main stage. Yeah.
But if we're looking at the traditional presentation of the ethos, logos, pathos, is an are exaggerated claims, does that still fall
hmm
under the category of logos? Is that still
Yeah,
logical thinking, or
well, that's the misnomer, is that it's not necessarily logic. It's not necessarily logic. It's just persuasion.
persuasion?
Right. And that's what he was doing. So it doesn't have to be truthful. It can be exaggerated. It can be hyperbolized, but it's still logos. And he used it to, a great degree of success.
Okay, so now when it comes to this, would you when it comes to ethos, logos, pathos, would you consider yourself a purist? I guess if that's like you believe in it being that it should be presented in that way, the traditional way is supposed to, right? Um, you know,
As a form of persuasion.
sure, right. Um,
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how I've always used it.
I mean,
I mean, that's about
as
it. I mean,
opposed to the tricks and the the little things like Trump, as you've pointed out, the way he manipulates it
mm,
to get an end result. Is that I don't know. Is that
I mean, I think there's a place for a little bit of exaggeration or hyperbole.
in
Um,
politics though?
oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, you're lying anyway. You're a politician. You're already lying.
Well,
Might as well, go all the way.
so that's going on the assumption that there will never be truth in politics.
I don't think that's an assumption. That's pretty much well
I mean, there
established.
can't. Well, I guess I should say there can't be truth in politics.
Right. Yeah, there certainly can't be. No, I mean, it takes a special kind of person to want to be a politician.
Well, now, but was that always
No,
true? I mean,
always,
that's
always.
was that always true in this country? I mean,
Not even just this country. I mean, look at any point in history.
well, I don't care about other countries.
I mean, find me a politician who's never lied,
I don't. I
and I'll
do.
show you someone who's never a politician.
Well, we know George Washington did.
Yeah,
We are that
he
one we
never
know
lied.
about, but I don't know. Was the lie that kind of mentality, did that exist in our forefathers, the true those true hardcore libertarians that established this country, right? I mean, were they lying to the people? Were they lying to people around them as well?
I mean, there's lying, and there's like misdirection. There's misleading people. There's half truths. Lies of
Jesus
omission.
Christ,
Oh yeah,
I
it
thought
gets
we were
fucking.
above all that. Shouldn't we be above that? Come on.
Oh, we like jokes around here. They're fun.
You know what? We need to get Cameron Michael on here
We do,
and
but he won't.
ask him
He's too good for us.
because he is a I don't know, you tend to back him up when he says that he's very studied on the presidents, that we've had,
Oh yeah, no,
right?
he's absolutely autistic on it. It's
Right.
actually amazing
So
to witness.
so it'd be interesting to find out from him who the most honest president was that we've ever had.
Abraham Lincoln, obviously, he was honest Abe.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no. You can't.
yeah,
You can't. They called him Honest Abe because isn't that what he how he promoted himself as a lawyer?
yeah, yeah.
Because he was the first lawyer to ever advertise. Did you know
I
that?
believe so.
Did you
No,
know
I
that?
didn't.
Yeah, he was. If at least this is what I heard. It could be old wives' tale. It could be myth, legend. But
Total bullshit.
he
Yeah.
was like the first lawyer to ever take out an advertisement in the local paper, promote offering his services out there. And
Honest Abe.
right, come on
Like
down to
really.
Honest Dave's. I'll get you.
Yeah.
I'll get you off. For my name ain't Honest Dave.
Right. Must be crazy just giving away this legal counsel.
I'm giving
Oh man.
everything away but the retainer.
That's right. Oh man.
So do you these the way that arguments are being handled in Washington in the present day, though, John? I mean, have we gotten completely away from that true path? Like, I understand how they work. I write, I've written persuasive speeches and given them, and persuasive articles, et cetera, et cetera. But is that foundation, is it lacking so much in Washington that is that a core of what's stopping the discussions from gaining any ground or going anywhere in Washington, except from
Hmm.
those loudest voices who are the most extreme?
No, I mean I think it's used constantly, pretty much exclusively. I mean it really is. I just don't think it's used well.
Okay.
I think it's used more for sound bites than it is for like a long form actually trying to persuade someone. It's just trying to get those CNN sound bites, that you can play in the morning over your coffee. That's what it's for. And it's really unfortunate because you have to kind of get your whole message, through in about 5 or 6 seconds. You know what I mean? That's not easy to do.
Um, where where do you think, where is it failing us? Like, I see our culture and I see these changes in how dialogue, how people are talking to each other, how we're interacting with each other in a very polarized environment, right?
Mhm.
All these different factions. Um, where is it failing us, and where is this a core? Is there something fundamental in it that can be reversed, or are we just going to have a new day and
Hmm.
age of how conversations occur?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a really tough question because I'm sure that if it could be changed, someone would be trying it. Maybe someone is. Maybe that's why they're not prominent. I don't know. Um, it seems like for now we're just gonna have to accept a new form of conversation.
Right?
I mean, the
It's
best we can do is not do that ourselves and encourage other people, to do it the right way.
you know
That's
I
really the only way I can see it working.
I find it challenging that even when I do see someone present a good argument for and make their case, um, is this tendency to immediately break down everything that was said into these subparts, decontextualizing, as it were, what was said, so that again, in an effort to attack the ethos, but also to destroy the logic
Hmm.
through breaking it into illogical sound bites, or broken context. You can really fuck up somebody's argument when you never answer the argument and you destroy every little piece of logic they have by making it sound so illogical. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how we prove someone's racist, right? We take three words out of the last three sentences they said and show that they're a racist, right? And then everything they
Right.
said in that three sentences is irrelevant.
You're right.
Um, I don't understand how we got to this point, and unless we can blame it on Twitter. 140 characters, before it went up to 280.
Yeah.
Everybody had to twist everything down into small condensed sound bites. I mean, you can't really,
I don't think that's the fault of Twitter alone. I mean, I think it has to
social
do with just
medias.
I think the media in general, just media. Just I mean, you can even go as far back as television shows needing to fit a message in 20 minutes. 21 minutes, whatever it is,
Well,
without
right.
commercials. It's
But
9-10 minutes of
even
commercials.
that's possible. But yeah, like now
It's
when you
easier, but I'm saying that's probably the start of
right,
it. Or radio where you have which is a little bit more doable. But I mean, even us, we've just now hit an hour, and there's more to talk about.
right,
It's not an easy thing
right.
to kind of condense things like that. And so I think that the more we've condensed it, the less there's room for actual argument and more room for just emotion and
Right.
attacks.
Right, because immediately, with shortened sound bites, shortened space in social
Hmm.
media, particularly, you have no chance to establish ethos. The only ethos that establishes your credibility is your number of followers, right?
Well, there's that, yeah.
Your social media presence.
And something that I brought up with Steven when I was on with him, because he was saying that he tries not to establish an ethos, and I was making the argument that it's impossible not to, even if you don't do it yourself. Someone else will. I can go to you and say, "Hey, I know that this guy is cool. You should check him out. He's really smart. He's funny. Check out one of his videos." That's establishing an ethos for him without him having to do anything other than what he was, already doing.
Right.
So I mean, there's no way to avoid that.
Well, and even those small sound bites, though, they don't allow much room to present a logical argument. Um,
Hmm.
it's really hard you know to get a point across without typing a damn book. And in a lot of these there's a lot of platforms out there where you just can't get it all out there, right?
Yeah, and
Try
even if you do, people aren't going to read it all. I mean,
right, right. It's like
yeah,
how many more of these posts do I have to go through to get the entire
yeah,
message,
and
right?
that's a big
So
problem on
it's self
YouTube as
defeating.
well. It's a big
Huh?
problem on YouTube as well, where people will comment on a video without having watched it,
Oh yes.
or someone posts an article,
Hmm.
they'll comment without
Hmm.
actually reading the article. You know what I
Now
mean? So that's really on the people. I mean,
Now I see this happen a lot in our even in our Discord, right?
mhm,
Um, because we'll post clips there. Everybody will post links to different articles and this, that, and the
mhm.
other. But I have seen many a time where, and I'm not naming names or anything, but you know who you are. Um,
Well, you don't.
all of you do. All of you
And
do.
this is and this
I've
is
seen,
me.
and this is multiple people, so it's not like there's, it's pointed at anyone individually. But immediately comment on it. Immediately
Mm,
comment on the article itself, and me knowing that unless they can speed read, they
right.
they didn't read much more than the article, the little summary there, and immediately commented. And every once in a while, I'll see somebody say, "Well, I haven't read it, but I will make this comment on it," and that I can
Mm,
appreciate. I'm like, okay, there
yeah.
you're letting me know, this is just some fluff opinion you're throwing out
Yeah.
there. Maybe you will or won't. But I think that is the real key. The crux of what you said is people need to take the moment, right,
Hmm.
to read it, to digest the material at least enough to where your opinion now carries a little bit of weight. I don't, you know,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about your opinion one way or the other, but I prefer that it be slightly educated if you're going to
Right.
present it to me, right? I try not to comment on anything that I haven't read.
Hmm.
You ask me all that stuff all the time. Have you, did you read this or that? No, but do you hear me comment on it? Do you give you my
Right.
2 cents on it? Well, I think that's kind of pointless if I don't have my 2 cents already invested in the reading.
Right.
So reading is fundamental, kids. So make sure you're reading the things that you're talking about. Nobody can present a logical argument if you haven't built the foundation of your logic on something besides your own echo chamber.
Yep. 100% truth.
So, John, Before we get out of here, I'm going to put out there that we have an interesting show, or I'm hoping that we're going to try and make it interesting next week, on Friday, this coming Friday. We're going to be doing a show. The show basically is going to be the privileges are the new rights, right? Is what we've talked about doing, because it's just in our off mic discussion, I think we've come to the conclusion that there's a lot of the American people that would be willing to trade the wrong things to get where they want to be in this country, or to continue as they are in this country. And it's a scary thought that so many would be willing to make the sacrifice. And this is our opinions, but it's a thought, but it's something to chew on. And we're going to see if we can't chew it up on Friday and see what we get out of it. John, there are some things coming up. Let's make those announcements again, just if you want to touch on them real quick, the things that are coming up in the future for us.
Yes. August 30th. It's a Friday. We are having Blonde from Beauty and the Beta podcast and Blonde in the Belly of the Beast. We are going to be doing a Halloween spooktacular. Those are my spirit fingers.
You scared me.
And then, I know. And then December 6th, also another Friday, we are doing a 12-hour live stream for charity, so that we can hopefully give some, very needed gifts to some very needy children who may not get it otherwise.
Right. As it stands right now, we're looking at doing it for Toys for Tots, unless somebody comes up with something stronger. Then that's probably what we're going to do. But Toys for Tots is just like it's the best go-to, in my opinion. It truly is. All right, folks. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. If you hadn't hit the subscribe button, then you're a fool, because you should have already. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hit the subscribe
You've already
button.
been here for an hour, so
right. You might as well. John, if folks wanted to find us, where would they look?
Well, they would look right below those buttons that they're about to hit. Those like and subscribe buttons down there. There's 3 links down there, at least. One of them is going to be our Twitter link, which is at the Gen Gap P. The second one is our Discord server, so you can jump in there and join the conversations that we're having all the time. And then third, you can find us at freedomscoop.com, which is a cool little media group that we have going on with a couple of other content creators. So you can find their work over there as well. Highly recommend it. Some of the cool guys.
J. Edgar rocks. Stephen Ignoramous rocks. But they're not us. They're not us.
Right. And Stephen Ignoramous actually literally rocks. He's got a Wednesday. Sometimes on Wednesdays he'll do a music stream, so that's kind of fun.
John, I know you're dating the guy, but just calm down. All right.
I can't help it.
Hey, folks, we appreciate you stopping by and listening to us run off at the mouth tonight. If you didn't catch everything, find us on, go back and rewind and jump on Freedom Scoop. You can check us out there, like John said. I like that Freedom Scoop place. It's a fun, free place to be. It's a very free place to be.
Get your scoop of freedom.
Right. But after that, that's it for our time, John. I'm done. So we'll be back again on Friday for that at 8:30, like our normal time. Then we'll be back again on Monday for our next Shootin the Shit episode. Folks, have yourselves a wonderful evening, and stay safe out there. And remember, don't name names. Just don't name names.
Whatever you say nothing.
Right? Hashtag no body count. All right, John. Have yourself a good one where we're at.
Yep. See you guys.